The sun dipped low over Lakeview, casting golden ripples across the water as Sarah, my 17-year-old niece, stepped onto the weathered dock of our family's lake cabin. This place had been our sanctuary for over 2 decades, a haven where my mother had woven memories of summer laughter and quiet evenings. For Sarah, newly adopted and navigating the chaos of her senior year, the cabin was more than a retreat. It was home in a way nothing else had ever been. As we pulled into the gravel driveway, her face lit up with a rare, unguarded smile. "Uncle Mark," she said softly, "this place always feels like where I belong." Her words carried a weight I didn't fully grasp then, a certainty that went beyond affection. She wandered to the dock, her fingers brushing the familiar railing, and called back, "Grandma always said this cabin would be mine someday." She meant it, didn't she? I laughed, thinking it was just Mom's way of making Sarah feel loved. "In your heart, it's all yours," I replied, but her nod was solemn, as if she held a deeper truth. That peace shattered within an hour. As I hauled bags inside, I spotted a woman at the property line, arms crossed, staring at Sarah with the intensity of a hawk. She was in her early 60s, clad in a pristine tracksuit, her gray hair unmoved by the breeze. Everything about her screamed control, the kind of person who had the sheriff on speed dial. When she saw me watching, she didn't wave. She pulled out her phone and snapped a photo of Sarah on the dock. It felt predatory, like she was building a case. "Good afternoon," I called, forcing a smile as I approached. "I'm Mark Thompson. Sarah and I are here for a few weeks." Her eyes raked over me before she spoke. "I'm Linda Harris, HOA president. I have concerns about your guest's extended stay. Our community has strict rules about temporary residents, and she seems far too comfortable for a visitor." The word guest dripped with accusation. I started to explain that Sarah was family, but Linda cut me off with a raised hand. "People who don't belong often make bold claims about ownership," she said, her gaze fixed on Sarah. "I find it's best to verify before things get messy." She snapped another photo, not bothering to hide it, and added, "I'll be reviewing the HOA guidelines. I suggest you do the same." With that, she turned toward her immaculate colonial home, leaving me stunned. Sarah noticed the exchange and walked over, worry clouding her face. "Uncle Mark, who was that?" She looked at me like I was a criminal. I tried to brush it off, just a neighbor obsessed with rules, but Sarah wasn't fooled. "I feel like we're being watched," she whispered, pointing to a shadow moving behind Linda's curtains. That night, Linda's house buzzed with activity lights flicking on and off, her silhouette pacing as she spoke animatedly on the phone, always glancing our way. Around 9 p.m., a dark sedan with tinted windows parked across the street, its presence chilling. Sarah's voice trembled from her room. "Uncle Mark, is someone watching us?" The next morning, I left Sarah reading on the dock to run errands in town, expecting a quiet hour. Instead, I returned to a sheriff's car in the driveway and Sarah in tears on the porch. Linda stood nearby, clutching a folder, ranting to a weary Deputy Miller. "This is the 16th time this year I've had to report suspicious activity," she declared. "This girl's been impersonating a family member to squat here. I suspect fraud and trespassing," Sarah whispered. "She said people like me don't belong in places like this." The racial undertone hit like a slap. Deputy Miller, clearly exasperated, asked for our IDs. I handed over mine and Sarah's school ID, explaining she'd been with us for 2 years and visited the cabin since childhood. Sarah, fighting tears, added, "I know every inch of this place, the loose board on the dock, the secret shelf where Grandma hid her chocolate. I'm not pretending." The deputy turned to Linda, skepticism clear. "Ma'am, their documents check out, and she knows the property. What evidence do you have?" Linda thrust her phone forward, showing photos of Sarah reading by the lake. "Look how comfortable she is. That's not normal for a guest." Miller's patience snapped. "Photographing a minor without consent is more troubling than these images. There's no evidence of fraud here. Stop making baseless claims." As he left, Linda retreated, but not before holding up a document labeled eviction notice for us to see, her smugness chilling. Sarah gripped my arm. "Can she really make us leave? This is the only place that feels like home." 2 days later, certified mail arrived from the Lakeview HOA, a violation notice demanding $500 daily fines for Sarah's unauthorized occupancy, threatening eviction within 48 hours. The math was brutal. Sarah's college savings would vanish in weeks. Maybe I should go, she said, voice breaking. I don't want to ruin us. Fury surged through me. No way we're letting Linda win. I snapped. Mom had dealt with Linda's antics before. She'd have left us something. Sarah remembered Mom's journals, where she hid important papers. After hours of searching, we found a yellowed HOA exemption certificate from 1997, granting our cabin permanent freedom from guest restrictions. A note from Mom read, "Mark, if Linda tries again, use this. Love, Mom." Relief flooded us. Sarah's eyes lit up. Does this mean I can stay? I nodded, though doubt nagged Linda wouldn't fold easily. We marched to Linda's house, certificate in hand. Her smug smile faded as she scanned it, but then she laughed, a bitter, chilling sound. "This was voided 2 years ago when we updated the covenants," she said, producing a 2022 document. "Your mother's deal died with her. You have 48 hours. Defeated, we trudged back, Sarah whispering, "Maybe I don't belong anywhere." As we reached the porch, Linda held up another paper against her window, final eviction notice. Desperate, I turned to our neighbor, Ellen Parker, who'd hinted at Linda's vendetta. Ellen invited me in, her voice low. "Linda ruined me 2 years ago when I was HOA president. She's been after your cabin since your mom refused to sell in 2018. It's personal." Sarah, who'd followed, pleaded, "I just want to know why I can't stay where I feel at home." Ellen softened. "All right, but we need to be smart. Linda's been planning this for years." We dug through county records, Sarah recalling Mom's will updates before her death. "She said this house was mine, like a legal promise," Sarah said. Ellen's eyes sharpened. "Adoption's trigger will revisions. Mark, do you have the final will?" Grief had blinded me to details, but a probate clerk confirmed Mom amended her will 6 months before passing, naming Sarah as the cabin's beneficiary. Ellen whispered, "Linda's not harassing a guest, she's targeting the owner." The revelation hit hard. Sarah owned the cabin legally, her anchor in a world that often rejected her. "Do I really belong here?" she asked, tears falling. "Sweetheart," I said, "this is your house." Ellen warned Linda wouldn't back down easily. Sarah suggested a trap. Let her think she's won. Get her to call an HOA meeting, then expose her. We crafted an email to the HOA, feigning surrender and requesting a public meeting to resolve the violation. Linda took the bait, scheduling an emergency meeting. The community center buzzed with neighbors expecting Sarah's defeat. Linda, in a power suit, opened with a triumphant speech about accountability. I stood, voice steady. "There's been a misunderstanding about Sarah's status." Linda nodded, expecting capitulation. Instead, Ellen presented the will and property records. "Sarah Thompson isn't a guest, she's the legal owner." The room exploded in murmurs. Linda's face twisted in horror. "Impossible," she screamed, claiming the documents were fake. She waved her own paper smails and notes, not legal records. Neighbors, including Linda's allies, turned on her. "You made us bully a kid," one shouted. Sarah spoke, voice clear. "This wasn't about revenge. It's about the right to belong without justifying it." Applause erupted. A vote ousted Linda as president, 23-1. As she gathered her papers, her eyes met Sarah's fleeting moment of remorse before she fled. 6 months later, a $25,000 settlement arrived with a note from Linda. "Sarah, I was angry at life, not you. You showed more grace than I did. I'm sorry. Use this for college." Sarah, now confident, read it with forgiveness. On our last summer night, we sat on the dock, the lake glowing. "Did Grandma know I'd have to fight?" Sarah asked. "She knew you'd be strong enough to win," I said. The cabin was hers not just legally, but as a symbol of her resilience. Linda's final call as she drove away felt like an empty threat. The lake was peaceful again, and Sarah belonged.